Hello YouTube, this is Chris Convictional Services. Before we get this video started today, um, I want to, when I say thank you and call us a community and a YouTube family and stuff like that, I mean it from the very bottom of my heart because if it was just, if I had no subscribers and no viewers and nobody sharing and commenting and liking and any of that, it would just be me making videos and in the past live streams and hopefully, God willing, live streams again in the future of different kinds. But yeah, if it was just me and nobody was subscribing to me or watching or liking or viewing or commenting or anything, there'd be nobody but me. So when I say, welcome to the community and stuff, I really do generally mean it. We are a community. You're more than welcome to leave whenever you want. It's not a cult. I've had plenty of people leave. I've had plenty of people talk smack and then leave. Um, and it's sad to see them go, but hey, you're free to choose. You can do what you want. Um, Also, before we get going, I think I was very clear, and I've been very clear on my channel. Biblically, um, I support Israel. 100% support Israel. Now, do I like some of the things that they do? No, God doesn't even like some of the things that they do. Jesus, his son, didn't even like that. Doesn't even like things that they do, and calls him out on it. Even in the Book of Revelations. But that doesn't take away that that's God's chosen people. That's God's chosen land. Um, that's why I got this verse up here. And you're gonna say, well, that's not New Testament. Well, yeah, but if you read all through the Old Testament and through the New, God doesn't. He even in the New Testament, God's son Jesus, says we're grafted in to the Israelites as Gentiles, believing in God's son and him, we become grafted into the family of the Israelites. So, I mean, it's a pretty common theme throughout Old and New Testament. So, uh, with all this nonsense going on right now of, and I do feel bad for, I mean, there are innocent people everywhere. There's innocent people, um, including in Palestine, men, women, children, it's a messed up situation. But, and I've got a completely different video on that whole topic, but, that I'm working on getting together. But that being said, uh, they're going against Israel. And it is a very stupid, stupid thing for, you know, Biden, the Biden administration is talking, from what I understand, and different things that I've heard bits and pieces here and there, is talking about dropping out of supporting Israel, which is stupid because even not being biblical, they've always been our ally. And I believe it's because biblically, the U.S. has always had Israel as their ally or as our ally. So, um, if anybody that knows Biden or Biden's administration or anybody happens to see this video, I think it would be the stupidest thing. It would be a very stupid choice, a very stupid, stupid, stupid decision to go against Israel. Not because we can't win against Israel, but we can't win against God, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to. We don't want to try to test that hand because anybody that does that will lose. But uh, then you got all these people, especially these younger generation, this generation, protesting and stand with Hamas and Palestine, and you know, taking down American flags and putting up the Palestinian flag and all that. Um, that's not good, guys. And then you got the LGBTQ alphabet transformer going to turn into a toaster if they choose to. People um, saying they support Palestine. Do you not know history? Do you not know what they currently believe and what they currently do to LGBTQ people? Anybody that's in that culture, in that country, if they happen to be gay, they keep it very, very secret. It's not like the US, or they leave. And if they get found out, they get unalived. but yet you are supporting Palestine as an LGBTQ. Make that one make sense. And a lot of the people that flee, where do they flee? Israel. And even though Israel biblically is against LGBTQ, as far as like it says, do not, that God doesn't support that. He made man and woman to be together, not woman, woman, man and man, or man and man. But they still don't kill you. They don't unalive you. They don't throw you off rooftops and publicly execute you. But the group that you're backing and supporting against the other group does. Let that sink in, people. Let that sink in. And then you got the biblically, like I said, this is Zechariah 14. And then we'll get on to the rest of this video because there's a lot to unpack. This is the plague, Zechariah 14:12. This is the plague with which the Lord will strike all nations that fought against Israel, or against Jerusalem, which is Israel. Their flesh will rot while they are still standing on their feet. Their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouths. On that day, people will be stricken by the Lord with great panic. They will seize each other by the hand and attack one another. Judea too will fight at Jerusalem. The wealth of all the surrounding nations will be collected. Great quantities of gold and silver and clothing. A similar plague will strike the horses and mules and camels and donkeys and all the animals in those camps. Then the survivors from all the nations that have attacked Jerusalem will go up year after year to worship the King, the Lord Almighty, and to celebrate the festival of the tabernacles. So, as you see there, it is a huge, huge mistake to go against Jerusalem, go against Israel. Now, does that mean you can't call them out on stupid stuff? No, like I did with the flag and the Star of David. That's clearly biblically not of God. Okay? And the Bible says that they did that. So it's okay. Jesus called them out. God's Son called them out. God Himself called them out in the Old Testament. Jesus called them out, His Son, in the New Testament multiple times because of their false beliefs and false teachings. But just like your wife or your husband or your children or whatever, just because you disagree with them, don't mean you get rid of them. Doesn't mean you hate them. Doesn't mean you get what I'm saying? Like, if that's God's bride, His chosen people, His chosen land, and then us as believers, even Orthodox Jews, we're the bride of Christ. Okay? So you've got pretty much a family, God's family. Do you really think He's going to take kindly to you fighting with them? It's like me and my brother or my sister. We fight all the time, did when we were little anyway, and we still have our disagreements and arguments. But let an outsider come do that. And that's what that verse means right there. Outsiders are trying to come in and attack God's people. And God's saying, I'm not having any of that. I'm literally going to give you and your animals plagues. So wake up, people. Very dangerous ground you're walking on. When you're going against Israel and you wonder why things ain't going your way. Why God doesn't have His hand on you. You're going against His people. And then when you go against the Christians, the ones that are saved through His Son Jesus, that belong to His Son Jesus, because God said what? Or Jesus said what? My Father gives them to me. They belong to my Father, and my Father has given them to me. Again, you can't be God if you give things to yourself. You already own it. So, when non-believers attack Christians, yeah, the devil may make it look like you're getting things that you want, but it's just material things, and that stuff perishes. You can't take it with you when you go. When you're in the grave, if you have it with you, look at the pharaohs and all that as an example. All their stuff's still there along with their bones. They can't take it with you. You can't take it with you when you go. Okay, so let's move on because we're already sitting at 10 minutes. So this is something I touched on. I remember it being 2019. This is a Mandela effect as far as I'm concerned because I remember it being 2019. Anybody's been on my channel for a while knows I was going through some issues. And long story short, I was living in my car. Um, Roughly September, October of 2019. That's when this happened. I remember because I had brought it up. I didn't show anything. I didn't record it. It was really super hard to record things. I mean, screen record. I could do it on my phone, but really didn't like doing all that too much. Um, and a lot of the times then I did like a vlogging style, where I was sitting in front of the camera. But I do remember bringing this up in one of my videos at the mid end of 2019, uh, of Elon Musk launching his own personal Tesla into space supposedly, and like I said then, that proves more that there's no space. Space is fake. We don't live on a globe. NASA's a liar. Uh, it's all CGI, cartoons, Mandela, or not Mandela effect, AI, Hollywood basement, so on and so on. And I left it at there. I said that the car would be crushed if it went into space. The so-called space that NASA pushes, just a regular car, nothing special about it. It would literally be crushed. And because at that time, so many flat earthers that I followed, and majority of the people that I follow, and a lot of other people did, um, back before YouTube really started cracking down on us, truth seekers and speaking the truth and God's truth. And it was not really worth me going deeper into it at that point. I had other videos and other things I had going at the time. And so I left it be. So I come across, there's this Facebook page that I follow, and he's a biblical flat earther. And he had did a video about how uh, satellites, like I've showed here on my channel, are on weather balloons and satellite, or weather balloons and high altitude balloons is what satellites are on. They're not, and they go under the dome and stuff. They're not, and I'm going to prove that with a CIA document as well. Uh, More support and backing of that. So I'm watching the video and I'm scrolling down through the comments, and I see this comment about, they thought it was on their channel, but apparently not, or something along those lines. I've got a screenshot of it. I'm going to show you. Um, and so uh, I got to thinking about it, and I was like, well, wait a minute. I don't remember ever seeing that. I remember watching the launch. I'm not live. When I found out about it, it was already done being live. And I watched it. It was like that day or the next day I watched it. And I watched one video of it and I was like, whatever, dude. That's just more proof. Like I've said, it's all lies. NASA's liars. And I left it at that. I don't remember ever hearing or seeing or uh, anything of that nature of the Earth glitching out of one of the frames. And that's what this guy was commenting, when he said, I thought I seen it on your channel, but apparently I didn't, where about this here, about the Elon Musk launching his Tesla in this so-called space, and then the Earth glitched out. He thought he had seen it, but he couldn't find it anywhere. And so yesterday I sit me down a rabbit hole, and that's what this video is. And I dug and I dug and I dug and I dug and I looked up different ways of looking it up. And eventually I found one 40-second clip made like 2 months later by another news station, and I found it. 100% proof that they used Project Bluebeam as one of their many tools that NASA uses to deceive the masses. And like I've stated in a lot of my videos, that you don't ever see Mars or Saturn or Uranus or whatever other so-called planet, these fake planets they say exist. You don't ever see them until they say, oh, like the Wizard of Oz, don't look here, don't look behind the curtain, look over here, look that direction. And they give you the exact pinpoint direction to look at. And then you look at it with your telescope or your binoculars or whatever, or a camera, and zoom in on it, and all of a sudden, bam, you see Saturn or Mars or whatever. But it always looks like a hologram. It always looks like almost a flat piece of paper. It never looks like the images that NASA puts out, even ones that they claim to have recorded from the ground from a telescope. And I want to hear, oh, it's because NASA got better telescopes and this and that, because I've seen people that have NASA grade light telescopes, like right up there with NASA, and have the same image. It looks like when NASA says, hey, look here, there's Uranus or Saturn, Mars, whatever, and it looks like a hologram. So, anyway, let's go ahead and move on. So, this is one of the videos that I found yesterday. And this was posted, it says in 2018, just like, and that's why I Googled it. So you can see it said 2018. It wasn't just YouTube that said it. And I remember it being 2019. Like, shortly after I started living in my car, a month or two. So I know it wasn't 2018. It definitely wasn't at the beginning of 2018. If you remember this and you remember watching it, let me know in the comment section below, because I don't want to feel like I'm crazy. Let me know. I mean, I know what the Mandela effect is. I believe in the Mandela effect. I've seen the Mandela effect in action in God's Word, the Bible. I've seen it in different things, aspects of my life, things I remember. I'm working on another video about the Monopoly Man, Mr. Moneybags, Mr. Monopoly, whatever you want to call him. He always had the monocle. I remember very distinctly him having the monocle. I'm going to be making a video about that as well. You can let me sound off in the comments here whether you remember that or not, him having a monocle or not. But not to get too far off topic, but I grew up on a ranch. We didn't have running electricity. We had generators or a generator, and we had Coleman lights and kerosene lights. That was what we lived by. And so during the day, if it was really super hot outside, or, especially when we were real little kids, or it was time to come in and relax and calm down and stuff. And in the evenings at nighttime, if we didn't want to watch what our parents were watching on TV, we didn't have a whole lot of options. Yeah, we had a little regular basic Nintendo that we all shared, that we would play here and there. But we tried staying away from using electronics, because the more electronics you use, the more gas it sucks. And even back then, gas wasn't, I mean, it's way cheaper then than it was now, but it was still it was expensive for that time. And so we would play board games. And one of the board games that we played a lot of is one that everybody loves, but yet everybody hates at the same time, is Monopoly. And there was a picture of Mr. Monopoly, Mr. Moneybags, whatever you want to call him, on the very center of it was a monocle. The money that had Mr. Monopoly on it, the Monopoly Man, had him with the monocle. Some of the cards that you would get, like the chance cards or whatever, and it would have him on it, again, with the monocle. Every single aspect of that game, even the box where he was was obviously the logo on it, had him with the monocle. I distinctly remember him having a monocle. But again, that's not what this video is. But sound in the comment section below if you remember him with the monocle or not. And then when I get that video up, we can go into more detail in the conversation about it. So anyway, there's quite a bit to unpack, and we're already at 19, almost 20 minutes here. So let's go ahead and go through this, okay?
The next question from Marcia Dunn at Associated Press. Marcia and AP. What was going through your mind? How amazed were you to see your roadster up there with Starman just cruising along?
First of all, again, I'm going to point out, look how flat that's flying. That's not, and then you get images, you get it where it's arcing as well, because they can't get past that dome and they know it.
With the Blue Planet, and how long will we be getting live views, do you think, from the car?
Well, I think it looks so ridiculous.
Now, there's quite a few things to point out in this, and I'm also going to point some of them out in the 40-second video. But one, notice that the car is always on this angle here. Okay, it never moves off this angle, and you think it would, especially being after it got launched. I've seen other videos with his rocket, and this is in like a cargo bay, and it opens up the doors and it drops out. And it keeps this exact angle. It doesn't go on its side. It doesn't go on its top. It doesn't. It just keep this exact angle, and pretty much the same distance away from their so-called fake ball Earth. And like I just pointed out, and I pointed out in my other videos, first of all, this car would be crushed. He explains it's not. They didn't check it to make sure if it was pretty much space ready. Um, and he says it's just a pretty much standard basic car. This is his personal car that he drove. Okay, so first of all, the car would be crushed. That's just a given. It would be crushed. If NASA's correct with their fake space model, and they have to have these special designed space shuttles to fly in space. Again, why is Boeing making them? And I'm going to show you kind of that a little bit of that in a minute, or a little bit. But why is Boeing making them if they have to be special material? They know nothing about space, right? Nothing about NASA's space. Then on top of that, he brings up the seats, and how they're basic seats. So that would most likely, that's leather. It looks like leather. According to NASA and their uh, their fake space, that would be destroyed. And then you've got their windshield. That windshield is just basic, regular old glass. It's not anything special that NASA so-called says is in their shuttles. So that would completely be obliterated. So would the glass on the mirrors, if the mirrors even still existed. Yeah, there's just so much wrong with this situation. Okay. Then, you know how you take a trophy and you put it on, I can't remember it's called off the top of my head, but you when you want to show it off and you put it on the stand and it rotates in a circle, so you get the full 360 view of that said trophy, right? Without having to touch it or move it or whatever. I believe that's what this is. That's what this, they've got his car in a Hollywood basement somewhere, and they've got it spinning on like the trophy, like how you would do a trophy, like it's um, a very special award that you received, and you got it in a glass case, and you got it on that little, wheel that spins, so you get the full 360 view. That's what this reminds me of. Okay. But listen to what he says, and I'm going to pause it as we're going along. And he makes sure he uses certain keywords. Now, I like Elon Musk on a lot of the things that he says, and so-called why he bought Twitter was freedom of speech and stuff like that. Um, and it's a very good possibility he doesn't know any of this. Okay. Now, I know the rich, powerful elite, most of the time they do know, but there also are, like, most of Hollywood are pedos. But you get your few, and I'll give you an example like I did in my last video. Um, Kevin Sorbo, Kirk Cameron, actual Christians, and when they found out, what Hollywood was about, they left. And they still do movies, but they're strictly Christian-based movies, pretty much. They don't deal with Hollywood anymore. Okay, so there's a very good possibility that Elon Musk either doesn't know what's going on or he knows a little bit, and there's certain reasons he's using certain keywords, like in this interview here. He makes sure that there's certain keywords that he uses. Um, so I mean, it's at this point, I'm not gonna say yes, he's with the powerful elite and he's deceiving us on purpose. And I'm saying, hey, on the other side, I'm not gonna sit there and say, he doesn't know all these things, and he's uh, being lied to like the rest of us. I don't have enough information yet to say yes or no on either side, if that makes any sense. But listen to the keywords he says here, and I'm going to point them out. Watch and listen.
Ridiculous and impossible. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake.
You could tell it's real because it looks so fake. No, it looks so fake because it is fake. And also, you'll notice too. Let me go back a little bit to that car shot. Actually, I can show you on the next side, on the next thing. But listen to what he says here.
Honestly, we'd have way better CGI if it was fake.
We have way better CGI if it was fake. Again, he's saying it looks too fake to be real, but that's why it looks real, because it looks fake. And then he's pointing out the CGI. So I mean, there is, when it comes to what I just said about him not knowing possible versus him knowing, the skill to me says more that he does know and he's hiding it, or he's helping the elite and the Illuminati falsify this stuff and make it look like we're going to space. I mean, he does. One of the companies he owns is with rockets, so I mean, why wouldn't he fake it? It's going to make him a lot of money, more money than what he already has, and he's pretty loaded. But a few things I want to point out in this shot here. Okay, one, look at that. Does that look like a nice circle ball like NASA puts out? No. Look how it looks all wobbled. That's not a perfect ball like NASA puts out. And if you notice, this isn't spinning at all. Matter of fact, I don't even think it goes off this image here. No matter where the angle of the car is supposed to be, no matter how, and then you'll see the Earth going like this, to this fake ball Earth going this direction, but you never see it spinning thousands of miles an hour. And a lot of times NASA's videos and live streams, you don't see it either. Okay. But also, there's some shots and video or images that you'll see where there's this camera mount. It's supposed to be a camera mount right here. And as you see, you don't see it here. And a lot of times you don't see it, but then you will see it. And I'll point it out. Um, and I believe that yes, it possibly is a camera, but I also believe it's part of the hoist to hold the car a certain way. Um, I'll show you. I'll explain it to you when we get to that part. Okay. But notice um, the direction the car is facing. Okay. If you look, you see blue sky, you see clouds over here too, over here. You shouldn't get that reflection here. You shouldn't. And why does it look like there's another mirror right here? Like there's a second car. You see it right there? Let me blow it up a little bit. See it? It looks like the same exact mirror as that. And you get a little glow on it right there, and you got a lot of glow, a little reflection of the glow right there, like from a studio light. Why is there another mirror right there? Like it's two separate cars. That doesn't make any sense. Unless it's two separate cars that the camera angle keeps going back and forth to look like it's moving in space. There's a little car right there. He brings out, it talks about here, a Hot Wheels made him a car, and he put a little astronaut in it. There's the car there. So why isn't that car destroyed? That little Hot Wheel. That's definitely not steel. That's like a metal plastic. Well, these days it's probably, I believe they're plastic. Um, but why isn't that car destroyed? That little Hot Wheel. They're not made, especially these days, anything like they used to be. So anyway, let's move on.
And the colors all look kind of weird in space. There's no atmospheric occlusion. Like everything looks too crisp. And but we didn't really test any of those materials for is it space hardened or whatever.
It's too crisp because it's CGI. That's how it's too crisp. And if you notice what he just said, he didn't check and see if they were hard and ready. I think was the words he used.
And but we didn't really test any of those materials for is it space hardened or whatever.
Yeah, space hardened. Um, he didn't. So all this, as he's getting ready to say, is all a regular, basic, drivable car. Again, there's the reflection there, and look, you see why is this all black here? This whole section right here is black, except for where it's hitting the studio light, spinning around. And you see the studio light there and there and there. If this was the sun, this whole section of the car would be lit up.
So it just has the same seats that like a normal car has. It's just literally a normal car in space, which I kind of like the absurdity of that. And if you look closely, on the dashboard, there's a tiny roadster with a tiny spaceman. So, because Hot Wheels made a Hot Wheels roadster.
But do you see how it looks like this is spinning and this isn't? With the angle and the way everything's moving, it looks like this is going this way on that wheel, like I was talking about, like a trophy. Like, could you do it for a trophy? And then this is going this way, and that'll make more sense when we get to that 40-second video. You'll see.
And a friend of mine suggested, "Hey, why don't you put that Hot Wheels roadster with a tiny spaceman on in the car too?" I'm like, that'd be cool. Sure. So we did that. I mean, it's kind of silly and fun, but I think that's silly fun things are important. And normally for a new rocket, they'd launch like a block of concrete.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. I'll put this in the description box. You go watch it in its entirety. Um, this right here is the smoking gun. Let me tell you, this is the smoking gun, especially of this video. Um, Again, this is a news station. This was an April 9th, 2018. So a couple months and a couple days of the same year. This is WKMG News 6, and the other one is CBS News. Okay, I understand their media, most mainstream media lie. They're just doing what their handlers tell them to do. But if you notice, again, this is all dark. If all this now, if this was the sun, if that's what this light was, is facing towards the sun, this whole area should be lit up, right? That is off the mirror. Just that little light right there. That's off the mirror. You got the little light pen light right there. You got the light right there and the light right there. And you got this whole little section right here lit up. Okay. That's because of the studio lights. And you'll see it more here in a minute or in a second as we're playing through. There comes a point where this glitches out. And when this glitches out, the screen gets all bright because the camera's trying to focus. And if you stop it at the right time, you can see the car's still there. Still hasn't left this angle. Okay. But then when the camera focuses back and it gets this back in the shot, then you get this image like this again. Watch. Again, not spinning. thousands of miles an hour and slowly moving this way, not zipping through space thousands of miles an hour. Then you got this image here. Okay. There's the metal rods again. They're supposed to be for the camera. And again, it most likely is to get that camera shot from this angle. Um, but that's clearly, I mean, we get a lot of images like this from the so-called ISS, where look how crisp and clean that looks, how pretty and blue, and you get the ripples in the water. And this would be from a local sun. I'm sorry, this would not be any other way. Um, but this doesn't look like the image we just saw. See what I'm saying? That image is supposed to be behind that car right there, behind the car. And what are these? Where did these come from? Oh, nope. What the heck? Oh, because it was getting ready to go into the second. I didn't think I saw those before. Anyway, you see how that doesn't look all, you can't see the water all pretty and ripply and the glow up the sun on it and everything else. So either that was taken separately, like the car was being hung where the camera's supposed to be, that you don't see how you don't see the camera here? There's supposed to be the camera. This is the general area right here where those bars were. You don't see them that you get in that shot. See? See they're right there on the fender? You don't get them there. It's just a lot of inconsistencies. So let's go ahead and push play. Okay, we should be getting ready to go here. Bam, right there. Now, look at that. And I got a screenshot of this as well, so I can blow this up so you can see it. But again, the car's still in the same angle. Got the light right there from the camera, or from the Hollywood basement light. That's clearly lighting what's lighting up the suit right here, and this part of the car. But it's not lighting up this here, not lighting up back here, because it's not the sun. Obviously, it's not the sun. It's in this room. And look at these little lines here. This to me looks like slits that are in there for lights on the outside, which is most likely what this is here, is to give lighting in here at certain angles. And this is the camera. And this is the blue beam project, or the hologram coming out of it. This to me looks like a strap. And it looks like they drilled a hole in this pipe so that the image could go through it and they could stabilize the camera by attaching it to the pipe to get the proper angle they wanted. And then all they got to do, instead of remounting it somewhere else, they could very easily just spin this right to left or left to right on this pipe that's right here. And you'll see it more better when I show you the screenshot that um, I took of it. But watch, you'll get a bright flash, and then the Earth will this magical in more ways than one. Apparently, it can disappear and then reappear again. As for, and then back, it's magically back. Now, as you see, the car's still there as as the bright light flashes. Okay, there it is. Alrighty, at 40 minutes. There's the bright flash, and I wanted to try to get it paused at this, close to this area right here. That's supposed to be the Earth. You can see it. There's the car. I'm still trying to figure out what that is. It looks like a door to me. It really does look like a door to me. You see what I'm saying? It looks like a perfect square door. How come nothing else is making that image? That to me looks like a door, and that's the door handle to get in and out of this room. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. But there's the tire, there's the fender, there's in between the tire, there's the astronaut, there's the seat, there's the back of the car. That's clearly the same image. Look at that, guys. That is like wow, just wow. And then back over here again to this image, and again you see the clouds right here. You see, the blue. You can't necessarily say this per se because that could be the it's like the back window there. It could be the view of that, but this isn't. This shouldn't be. That's clearly clouds, and that's clearly a blue, like a blue sky. So either this is a fake image behind it, but with seeing this here makes it more unlikely this is a fake image behind it. This is them. This is probably what these bars are here for, so they can um, hover this over the water and make it look like this. You get what I'm saying? And then when they do their jump cuts, they just spliced it together. That's one of the reasons they do their jump cuts the way they do, like I've shown in other videos, is so they can show different angles and sides and fronts and backs, but it's how they portrayed them. They always keep them real tight knit and close and stuff. So it's like a magician. You get to see what they want you to see and nothing else. And every once in a while, a magician makes a mistake and you catch him just like them. That clearly looks like they're floating it like on a hot air balloon or something, or a high altitude balloon or a weather balloon or something. That's what it looks like to me, in my opinion. But it could still be in that room, and this is just the image they had in the background. Again, but the way this has the clouds and the blue right here says that this is facing up towards the sky. But then again, you get the Hollywood basement light right there again, and then it's reflecting over here. So, you know, this very well could be another Project Bluebeam that they're using instead of the one image of Earth that they have. They have this image of Earth, and they just rotated it, and that's probably where it glitched. Was in between changing the uh, the hologram, and it wasn't supposed to be caught on camera. They were supposed to cut that part out, and they missed it, or somebody left it on purpose. It was like trying to be a whistleblower. But it's just kind of odd that you still get that same lighting right there as you do when it's supposed to be the ball Earth that is right here like this. You get what I'm saying? Okay, so that's the end of that. You see, like that. And you still get that same lighting right there, that same little pinpoint lighting. So anyway, let's go ahead and get off of this because we're already at 44 minutes. Okay. Now, I think I've shown this document before. I kind of skimmed through my videos and I didn't see it. So I don't think I did. If I did, I apologize if you've already seen it. If not, then now you guys are getting to see it. This is a document that I was talking about, one of the many documents that shows what is CIA. Um, Pretty much, if they didn't start NASA, they control NASA and everything NASA does. Everything NASA says, they're one of them. There's DOD, DOJ, CIA, NSA. Uh, NASA is in bed. I've seen documents on this web on the CIA.gov reading room. That state pretty much that all these different agencies control NASA. A lot of times the CIA and NASA, but there's also other documents of the years. Anyway, that say all these different agencies, pretty much NASA answers to, and they do what NASA does what they say. So this is 25th of August, 1965, approved for release 2005, or March 24th. So 2 years after, or 2 days after my birthday. NSA FMSAC Corporation. That would be the Foreign Missile and Space Center, if you're curious what that stands for. Okay. Um, a briefing of Admiral Boone, NASA, on the joint activity which NASA had developed with the CIA. See, NASA developed with the CIA, not that NASA uh, did it by themselves or CIA did it by. They worked together to make this. Okay, and the analysts of space intelligence data orientated principality toward an explanation of how NASA was organized. NASA was organized to assist the space intelligence efforts. Okay, people get stuck on the word space and they think instantly NASA space because that's what you're brainwashed to believe. No, the space and universe that's actually the real space and universe is just under the dome, the moon, sun, and stars. That is space. That is the universe. Not what NASA says. Intelligence effort, what had been accomplished, and plans for the future. Twofold purpose of NASA participation in internal community space efforts at the technical level. One, to provide NASA analytic support and assistance to the CIA and the intelligence community. Two, to facilitate technical intelligence inputs to NASA programs. Get what that says there? The program was considered a marriage of convenience. No written agreement, no long-term, no long-range commitments by either of the two agencies. The NASA group, which participated with the Office of Manned Space Flight (OMSF), and the original agreements for this joint activity were made between Dr. Shia of NASA and Dr. Whelan of CIA. I keep trying to say the. That's how everybody talks nowadays, and it drives me crazy. The Mandela effect has got that screwy as well. The only policy document to support the effort is a draft memo. See, this is how they do. They a lot of times they'll have the littlest information as possible written down, so if it gets leaked or whatever, they can deny it. Draft memo from McCone to USIB, which was given to NASA for concordance. The program was assigned the code name Galaxy. It operated under the supervision of the NASA side of the Advanced Manned Mission Program Director, where useful tech data derived from internal studies can be fed directly into NASA. So the CIA controls what goes into NASA and what NASA says and NASA shows. That's what that means. Manned mission program directors, where useful tech data derived from internal studies can be fed directly into NASA's advanced mission studies. On the CIA side, the NASA group operated as a branch of the Ballistic Missile and Space Division, OSIDD-SNT, until that office amalgamated with FMSAC, at which time, if you notice, that's crossed out. The activity moved to FMSAC, a bunch of question marks, did it, and a bunch of question marks. So they're pretty much saying right here at the very bottom that they're saying this is what happened, but did it? Did they move? You know? So yeah, and that's why they use the word marriage right here. Considered a marriage of convenience. Because NASA has to do, and there's plenty of other documents that back and support what I'm saying, what the CIA says, what the NSA says, what the DOD says, the DOJ, and so on and so on. You know, they have their puppet masters. And at one point, they weren't a government agency. They were made into a government agency and now they have to follow government rules and listen to the higher ups in the government because they're part of the government. Okay. This is another document that I don't know if I went over. If I haven't, let me know in the comment section if I went over it or not. Um, if not, I definitely will go over it. It's something that is very important. This is what I've been saying. For the second time, I'm not going to go over this video, over this whole document in this video. But if I didn't, let me know and I'll make a video about it. It talks about pretty much Boeing making the space shuttle. That's why it looks the way it does. Okay, that's the space shuttle that we all grew up in my era believing went to the so-called space. And it talks about how the CIA use it to drop payloads, and that's what this is for right here. One of many things, but the main goal is for the CIA to be able to drop payloads and stuff. And the CIA talks about, not necessarily in this document per se, but in other ones that I have found where they talk about the International Space Station using to spy on people and different things. That's what it was designed for. So this is the same document. Excuse me, page 15 of 46. Excuse me. Orbiter slash cargo transportation capabilities. Issue: orbiter cargo slash cargo ferry from overseas. That's what this is. The space shuttle. So-called space shuttle. Necessary action: required refueling on shuttle carrier aircraft. They literally call it aircraft. Shuttle carrier aircraft. SCA. That's the necessary action. Action agency. NASA action underway. Backup. SCA. Requires second 747. So a second Boeing. At that time, they only had this one. This is the one they kept launching. Okay. Requires a second 747 to be designated or procured and modified. That's necessary action. Action agency. Let's see here. NASA, AF, Air Force. That's what AF stands for. Continue investigation into availability of Air Force 747. People don't believe me when I tell them that NASA works for the Air Force. Okay? It's one of the many government agencies they work for. That's why a lot, especially their older videos and older pictures, you would see the airplanes with the AF on the side of them. Or USAF, United States Air Force. Because everything they fly is airplanes. They're designed by the Air Force. They're designed by Boeing. The first shuttle was designed by Boeing. That's why it looks the way it does. It's a modified Boeing. Okay. Issue: outsized airborne cargo transportation. Necessary action: development of approval or plan. Action agency: NASA and Air Force Air Staff C-5 and C-17. Question under study. Recommendations: NASA install refueling capability in SCA, $4 million. Air Force assist craft 747, again, a Boeing, available in work. NASA procure 35 million and or modify 3 million, or 30 million, not 3 million. Second 747 as backup SCA. Air Force pursue outsized airborne cargo transportation plan, $85 million in work, not earlier than FY 1986 start. Are you seeing what I've been telling you? It's a frickin' Boeing. Now they use rockets, but they're still using Boeing and this tractor company to make their stuff, because they're not really going to space. They don't have to have stuff that can go to their so-called space, because it's all Hollywood basement, CGI, cartoon, fisheye lenses, and for missions like with the CIA dropping cargo and payloads. That's what this whole document's about here. And that's why it's got the image of the so-called space shuttle on this document. I didn't mean to do that. Um, Duplicate. Okay. I'm going to show you how to do this. Like I showed you in other videos. Um, okay. So, uh, NASA continued performance improvement to comply with baseline plan and mission requirements reflects DoD concerns at the 109% SSME FWC. Uh, let's see here. That up too big. Um, let's see here. Improve customer. Let's see here. There we go. Uh, The manifesting an experience will not result in achievement of goal. NASA should provide plan and funding which address additional options. Cross range slash abort. NASA improved cross range to current design limit through flight experience and analysts. Increased performance will increase non Conus abort exposure. In other words, they won't have to abort the mission to be able to do the payloads and other things that like people like the CIA tell them to do. DoD extensions of cross range will not completely alternative non-conus abort exposure, except fact that crew safety priority could create payload security threat and non-conus site. Continue action to better define the improved orbiter by connotation environment, connotation work group. I mean, this whole document is like throws a monkey wrench into uh, the the lie that NASA portrays. They work for other government agencies doing what they tell them to do. Big Brother, faking space, faking solar systems, galaxies, and planets, dropping payloads, using the ISS is one of the many things they use it for. Is Big Brother, because and they can do all this because it's all flying underneath Earth's dome. They've got, there's documents that I found that I think I've touched on other videos. Um, about the weapons in space and nukes in space and in the 60s. You can't do that in NASA's so-called space. You'd have to do that under a dome. This is what they modified. If you don't know what a Boeing 747 is, this is what it is, and you see how it looks almost identical to that. Look at that. Got the same nose, almost the same wing or wings. Yeah, it's modified. The wings are back here and a little shorter. Um, so they could have the bay doors and they could still be able to fly. But that's what it is. It's a modified Boeing. You just saw for yourself. So move on to the next document because we're already an hour now. So this is the White House, Washington. Same thing, CIA.gov reading room. This is the same document. Okay. A similar, this is page 9, a similar space plane, the word plane there, is also being developed, possibly for reconnaissance, satellite inspection, and transportation purposes. A space tug. So, in other words, like I've said before, a space tug, if perfected, like I've said before, they're on high altitude balloons and weather balloons and stuff like that, and they've got this smaller plane that's not really going to be noticeable, that they can come and they can hook it and they can move it to be able to repair it and different things like that. See, a smaller space plane is also being developed, possibly for reconnaissance. Okay, so to check on everything, to check on the satellites flying under Earth's sky, under the dome, for satellite inspections and transportation purposes. So if they need to move them to a different location, for one, either for it to drop, so it's not a well populated area, or from to move it to kill cell service or internet service, or that's why they're really pushing internet service. Elon Musk, Starlink. That's why they're pushing his internet really bad, is because that is going to be from satellites that are flying in our sky on an Earth's dome, and they can move those wherever they want them to be able to get rid of uh, communications. Okay, let's see here. Perfected will assist the space station and shuttle in their logistic missions by transforming satellites between high and low orbit for servicing. See the shuttle, which is the modified Boeing, and and shuttle. Let's see here, and the space station, the ISS, which is that's why you can film the ISS going in front of the moon. People have done it because the moon, sun, and stars are in our sky, and so is the ISS and the satellites. Okay, and they've literally made a space tug to be able to move these. See, manned space activities are receiving increased interest in Soviet space program, and comprehensive manned space program is underway and includes the development of several complementary components, including a modular space complex, a reusable space transportation system, and a space tug, which was just talked about. The Soviet leadership has announced the national objective of establishing constantly manned space station, which intelligent communication believes will be achieved by the 1986. By then, the manned space program, which is predominantly military in nature, will account for about one-fourth of a Soviet space expenditure. Beyond research and development, the military proposes a manned space station remains unclear, but reconnaissance to include ocean surveillance is likely to be a main military mission. In addition, the Soviet probably are developing a military space plane whose mission we cannot yet determine, but which is likely to include reconnaissance. Okay, so at this point, NASA hadn't really made theirs yet. This is the Soviets that had made theirs, and we just copied what they were doing and made our own. And it went from being a space station to an international space station because part of the New World Order, one law, one money, one government, one religion, so on and so on. It's a lot easier for everybody to keep quiet if you're all in on the secret and you all work together. You all have a dog in the fight. You all have a horse in the race. So if you got an international space station and you've got all the, you got Russia and you got China and you got Korea and you got United States and whatever, and you got them all docking different pieces of equipment on this same space station that's floating under Earth's sky, under the dome, you're going to be quiet because now you're in that, you're mixed up in that group. And so if you say something about them, you expose yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's why it went from the space station to the International Space Station. I almost forgot to add or show you the screenshots. So this is the screenshot that I was telling you about that I had read on this channel. And this guy says, and thank you, by the way, if you happen to see this, thank you. I thought it was on your channel, but now I can't find it. Have you seen the clip of the SpaceX Tesla roadster going around the Earth, and there's a glitch on the screen, and the Earth disappears, and you can see the video backdrop? Just curious if that's real or if anyone has a link to it. So I've saved um, that video. So I'm going to go back and send him a link to my video. So anyway, as you see, this is the same video that I just showed you, the 40-second video from the WKMG. I screenshotted it there, and then I screenshotted it as it glitched. See, if anybody knows cameras really well and technology really well, let me know if you know what this camera is. But the reason I said it looks like a pole, and it looks like you got it strapped right there, and it looks like they drilled a hole in where the camera lens is. I mean, you can see it looks like a perfect circle right there, like it was drilled. And then this would be easier to be able to turn this way, left to right or right to left if you needed to move any so-called image, Project Bluebeam, if you would, to whatever direction you needed to move it. You can clearly see, that looks like it's supposed to be the Earth right there, the ball Earth, like it's still trying to project the image out. But if you like I said, if you see, I mean, that's clearly looks like a camera there, almost like what's the word I'm looking for? A trap cam is what it looks like. Like I said, it looks like it's strapped right there to the pole. And then you can see a perfect circle right there, and then you can see it looks like it, and the image coming out right there when it glitched, and then it comes right back on within a few seconds. But you can clearly see that's a camera. Anyway, so I wanted to go ahead and add that in there. Like I said, I was. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. These are links about me section. Rate, comment, subscribe. Much love. God bless. And I will see you on the next one.